I'm Dan Daly. I served aboard U.S. Navy swift boats in Vietnam. And right back here is a model of my swift boat, PCF 76.
I'm Joe Patton, and I was an officer in charge of Swift Boat 61 in the Vietnam conflict. And one of the things Dan and I want to do is we want to welcome home all of the veterans who are coming home from Afghanistan, from Iraq, and other places across the globe. We applaud that welcome home.
However, after Vietnam, most of our brothers in arms returned home and they were ignored. In many cases, they were actually treated with disdain by their fellow Americans. For many reasons, the Vietnam War was unpopular. Regretfully, much of that blame was placed on the shoulders of the returning troops. These were troops who would serve their country with pride. Somehow, as Americans, we had forgotten that politicians make war, soldiers simply carry out orders.
Several years ago, a group of swift boat officers and some of the crews got together and started recanting stories, and it led to a book, Whitewater and Red Hot Lead. This really recants the story of what the swift boats did in Vietnam, the 50-foot with quarter-inch aluminum that Dan points out.
Quarter-inch aluminum is what it was, Joe, right?
And we also had a 50 caliber machine gun and an 82 millimeter aft.
But they were bigger than this. This is just a model, Joe, right?
Just a model. Right. And up in front we had twin 50 caliber machine guns. But we adapted. When we went into the rivers, we had machine guns in the doors, and we had in the pink tank, which is the front of the boat, we had M60 machine guns. It was really very interesting and a great opportunity for young men to bond.
But the crews were young. Most were in their early 20s. We trained in Coronado for 3 months. And then we shipped out to Vietnam and conducted 12 months of combat patrol in Vietnam along the rivers and the coast. The men were proud of their service then, and they're proud of it today. These men asked little upon their return home, and regretfully they received less. There was no welcome home. There was no thank you for your service. The media, supported by wartime TV, often portrayed our troops in combat as malcontents. Swift boats, as many other units operating in Vietnam, this was simply untrue. Our volunteer crews were, despite their youth, were well-trained, well-disciplined, morale was high, and teamwork was extraordinary.
During a 5-year period of time, there were 3,500 men that served in swift boats. There were 130 boats. We were very small units that accomplished, I think, wonderful things. But we weren't the only ones. We had the Army that had units like that. We had the Air Force. We had the Marine Corps, and we had the Coast Guard, and we had a lot of support from units like that.
We hope you'll read this book. In a small but positive way, it describes the sacrifice, dedication to each other, and to the mission that took place among our troops in Vietnam. Today, regretfully, many of these men still carry the scars of combat, both emotional and physical. In our book, we've tried to set the record straight and tell some of the stories of these dedicated young men. Vietnam veterans, men who served their country with pride. These are true stories that all Americans can be proud of, especially our veterans. Net proceeds from the book are currently being donated to the New England Ctr for Homeless Veterans and the Veterans Village in San Diego. It's available on Amazon or on the book's website, which is shown below. We want to thank all veterans for their service. For Vietnam veterans, we want to say, welcome home and thank you for your service. And thank you.